Recording.
In a world where survival of the fittest reigns supreme, the Darwin Awards offer a peculiar twist on the age-old battle for existence. Forget about strength, speed, or intelligence. Here, it's all about how creatively clueless you can be. These awards celebrate the bizarre and bewildering ways individuals have exited the gene pool, leaving us with jaw-dropping tales of sheer idiocy. And in today's video, we will explore some of the most embarrassingly stupid ways people died and received Darwin Awards. Hello everyone, welcome to Wow Amazing. In this video, we will go through the top 10 most stupid Darwin Award winners. But before we begin, we would like you guys to subscribe to Wow Amazing and hit the notification bell so you do not miss out on amazing and entertaining content that will surely get you amazed. Oh, and by the way, watch this video till the very end and you will be rewarded with a very special bonus candidate who did something so stupid that he received the Darwin Award not once but twice. So, let's begin. From blatantly stupid people to actual geniuses, these are some of the most embarrassing ways people have died. Number 10. Jet Assisted Takeoff. Arizona Highway Patrol stumbled upon a totally bizarre scene. A smouldering pile of metallic wreckage embedded into the rocky face of a cliff along a winding mountain road. At first glance, it looked like the aftermath of a tragic airplane crash, but upon closer inspection, they realized it was the vaporized remains of a car. The vehicle was so mangled and melted, they couldn't even tell what make or model it was. The lab geeks eventually cracked the case and pieced together exactly what happened to cause this puzzling disaster. It turns out, a former Air Force sergeant got his hands on a JATO unit. For those not in the know, JATO stands for Jet Assisted Takeoff. These are essentially solid fuel rockets used to give huge military transport planes an extra boost when taking off from short runways. Well, our sergeant took the JATO unit out to the wide open Arizona desert, home to many world land speed record attempts. He found a long, straight stretch of road, strapped the JATO to his car, and the rest is history. Using the evidence, experts concluded that he was driving a 1967 Chevy Impala and sparked the JATO unit about 3.9 miles away from where the wreckage was found. How do they know this? There was a prominently scorched and melted section of pavement exactly 3.9 miles back, where he first hit the gas. The car instantly shot up to around 250 to 300 miles per hour and maintained that breakneck speed for 15 to 20 seconds, while the driver experienced G-forces like he was at the controls of an F-14 Tomcat. Staying straight as an arrow along the open highway, the Chevy covered about 2.6 miles before the driver slammed on the brakes, which immediately melted away and blew the tires. But the crazed Impala just kept on soaring through the air for over a mile more before smacking into the canyon wall, 125 feet up, and leaving a blackened, 3-foot deep crater in the rocks. There wasn't much left of the driver, just tiny bone fragments and teeth shards extracted from the crater. But the kicker. Amongst the debris, they found a mostly intact bumper sticker that ironically read, "How do you like my driving? Dial 1-800-EAT-SHIT." Just goes to show, sometimes adding rocket power to your old Chevy has disastrous consequences when unrestrained gearhead enthusiasm gets the best of you. Number 9. Death by water bottle waterfall. Let me set the scene for you. An Italian supermarket, shelves overflowing with bottled water, dead of night. Our protagonist is a 46-year-old man, known for mischief in the small city of Cattolica. On Easter Monday, when the market was closed, he decided to sneak in the back door and help himself to their wares. Little did he know, this break-in would be his last. After slinking inside, the man paused to quench his thirst by swiping a bottle from a towering, precarious display of water bottles. And that's when disaster struck. The entire towering stack collapsed on him. Just picture a huge waterfall of water bottles cascading down. When employees returned the next morning, they were met with a huge mess of jumbled crates and bottles all over the floor. A few hours into cleaning up, they lifted the first crate only to discover a human arm poking out. Luckily, security footage from the CCTV cameras allowed investigators to piece together the man's last moments. As he greedily tugged that bottle free, the weight of the piled-up crates came crashing down upon him. Folks felt bad he had died, but then again it was his own fault twice over. Breaking into the clothes shop, then foolishly tempting gravity's wrath. Number 8. Red Evolution. This one is about a Russian welder who had a fatal encounter with an artillery cannon and a fire extinguisher. We'll call him by his pseudonym, Vargas. Vargas worked for a highway construction company in Selinoy. One day, he realized how perfectly a fire extinguisher fit down the barrel of an old decommissioned howitzer cannon. Inspiration struck. Despite welders not normally being known as daredevils, Vargas was determined to prove the old saying true: there are old welders and bold welders, but there are no old, bold welders. He decided to load the cannon with a volatile combination of calcium carbide and water, which produces acetylene welding gas when mixed. Vargas placed the fire extinguisher inside the barrel as his makeshift cannonball. When he fired the cannon, the abused fire extinguisher exploded out the end as shrapnel. Tragically, Vargas's head was directly in the path of the flying metal shards. In a fight between an empty skull and sharp shrapnel, the shrapnel won. This Darwin Award fatality was so foolish, it was written up as a warning on a Russian occupational safety website. I'd refer you there for more details, but internet translations from Russian to English leave much to be desired. Number 7. Master Meets Bait End. Our next Darwin Award winner is about Clifford Ray Jones, a 58-year-old Michigan man who tragically demonstrated why distracted driving can have deadly consequences. It was a cold Sunday morning on January 22, 2016, when Clifford chose some questionable in-car entertainment. He was cruising down the freeway while pantsless, seatbeltless, and fully immersed in an adult film playing on his phone. To make matters worse, his Toyota had a wide-open sunroof on this freezing winter day. Clifford really should have kept both hands on the wheel instead of himself. In the early hours at 3:40 a.m., his lack of attention caused his car to swerve out of control on the I-75 on-ramp. The Toyota rolled and crashed, violently ejecting Clifford through the open sunroof in a graphic finale, and so marked the untimely end of Clifford and his beloved best friend. Number 6. The Missionary Position. John Allen Chau was a self-proclaimed world explorer inspired by Livingstone and Jesus. This zealous missionary met a tragic end when he was killed by the very tribe he hoped to save on a remote Indian Ocean island. According to reports from the British Broadcasting Corporation in Delhi, Chau bribed local fishermen to smuggle him to the forbidden North Sentinel Island. His goal was to offer the isolated Sentinelese tribe gifts like scissors, a soccer ball, and the gospel. In a letter to his family, this adventurous Vancouver native said he wanted to make contact with the 60,000-year-old tribe to ensure their eternal life. Upon arriving by kayak, Chau was immediately met with a volley of arrows, but he continued walking ashore, much to the tribe's violent dismay. The fisherman witnessed the Sentinelese tie a rope around Chau's neck and drag his lifeless body along the beach, clearly rejecting his gifts and intentions. Understandably, the most isolated tribe on Earth has taken a strict no-visitors policy since British occupation nearly wiped them out in the 1800s. So, it's no surprise Chau's remains are still unrecovered on the remote island. Was he a martyr, as friends proclaim? A devoted missionary, as his parents believe? A selfish Instagram user seeking thrills? Or even a genocidal maniac exposing the tribe to deadly disease, as his ominous biblical quote suggests? We may never know Chau's true motivations since the Sentinelese aren't exactly active social media users. But one thing is clear, this isolated tribe has zero tolerance for outside contact, even from a well-meaning missionary. Number 5. The Enema Within. Our next winner hails from Texas, a man named Michael, a severe alcoholic. However, Michael wasn't your typical drinker consuming beer and liquor by mouth. Far from it. Michael had an unusual addiction to enemas and frequently used alcohol as his chosen liquid. This might sound unusual, so let me provide some context. Michael owned a machine shop. Due to a painful throat condition, he couldn't consume alcohol in the traditional manner. Instead, he devised an alternative method, administering it directly into his rectum. On one fateful night, Michael decided to indulge in a particularly potent enema session, involving 1.5 litres of sherry wine. That's over 100 fluid ounces. It's an excessive amount of sherry by any standards, especially to be introduced rectally. Most people, when they've had too much to drink, will either stop or pass out. But when Michael reached his limit and lost consciousness, his body continued to absorb the sherry. The results were fatal. By the next morning, Michael had passed away. The medical examiner revealed that Michael's blood alcohol concentration was 0.47%. At 58 years old, he effectively embalmed himself from within. To be awarded the Darwin Award, one's actions must showcase a remarkable misjudgment that eventually leads to them being removed from the gene pool. With 3 litres of sherry administered in such an unconventional manner, Michael certainly met that criteria. Upon hearing about the incident, Michael's neighbours expressed their shock. They were unaware of his peculiar habit of using sherry in enemas. Yet, in the age of the internet, several people have shared their own tales of rectal alcohol consumption. It's surprising to learn that this is a practice others have engaged in. Number 4. Case of the Charred Crook. Introducing Boyan Basic, a small-time criminal whose criminal history spans as long as a Tolstoy novel. This relentless petty thief spent the better part of his 25 years oscillating between freedom and incarceration. For instance, Bojan recently secured himself an 8-month sentence in a Pula prison for sending disturbing death threat letters to his ex-girlfriend. This adds to the cumulative 5 years he already accumulated, painting a picture of a true career criminal, wouldn't you agree? During his most recent stint behind bars, Boyan's behaviour was so erratic that guards felt compelled to place him in solitary confinement inside a padded cell. Unbeknownst to them, this cunning inmate had managed to smuggle in a lighter. Impressively, even with his hands bound, Boyan was able to retrieve the lighter and ignite a flame. Security cameras captured the moment around 3:35 p.m. when, with apparent glee, he set a fire by the door. As the rubber walls of his confinement caught fire, he seemed to revel in the growing blaze. However, his elation quickly turned to panic as he realized the danger of his escalating situation. The guards, taken aback by the sight of the cell engulfed in flames, reached Bojan too late. His fiery end became the first instance of an inmate dying in this manner in the country's entire prison history. While Bojan may not have been a mastermind in crime, his dramatic exit certainly showcased an unparalleled flair. Number 3. Forklift Around and Find Out. An employee at Tanaramono Logistics was dead set on taking logistics into his own hands. When a light bulb burnt out 10 meters overhead, he was resolute in his decision to replace it himself. However, there was a challenge. The forklift at his disposal could only elevate him to a height of 2.5 meters, which was far short of the 10-meter requirement. Let's consider this as a mathematical conundrum. If a person can reach a height of 2 meters standing, but the bulb is situated 10 meters above, how many 15-centimeter wood pallets would he need to stack on the 2.5-meter forklift to bridge the gap? The solution? A staggering 37 pallets. Undeterred, our enterprising worker began the process of stacking the pallets, constructing a precarious 37-piece tower. After assembling his makeshift platform, he enlisted the help of a co-worker to operate the forklift. With the pallet tower in place, he clambered to the summit, ready to ascend towards the elusive bulb. However, as anyone acquainted with the instability of haphazardly stacked pallets might predict, disaster was imminent. The wobbly structure gave way, resulting in a tragic fall that culminated in the worker's untimely demise amidst the debris. Though his original intent was merely to see the light, fate had different plans, and he ended up reaching an entirely different plane of existence. Number 2. Pretty fly for a dead guy. Introducing 23-year-old Solomon, an aviation enthusiast training at a local airport. After completing a solo flight in a Cessna 172, Solomon was filled with so much excitement that he impulsively purchased a different aircraft, a Piper PA-28-140. The catch? He had absolutely no training or experience with this particular model. Eager to showcase his new acquisition, Solomon presented the Piper to his flight instructor. The instructor, recognizing the potential dangers, sternly warned him, "Do not fly this plane until you've received proper training." However, such cautionary advice failed to deter our audacious aviator. On a chilly winter evening, Solomon, throwing all caution to the wind, decided to take the Piper for a spin. Merely minutes after embarking on the perilous 7:30 p.m. flight, the aircraft vanished into the night's obscurity. Due to an inactive transponder, air traffic controllers remained oblivious to the missing Piper. It wasn't until the following day that alarm bells rang when a concerned friend inquired about Solomon's whereabouts. The somber conclusion came when crash investigators located the Piper's wreckage in a heavily forested area, revealing 2 tragic casualties. Solomon posthumously receives a Darwin Award for his series of grave flight transgressions. The passenger, who tragically joined him on this ill-fated journey, gets an honourable mention for the decision to partake in such a risky endeavour. Number 1. Santa Ignacia. Our final tale brings us to a Catholic priest's tragic fate in an unusual helium balloon accident. On April 20, 2008, above the vast Atlantic Ocean, this priest attempted to ascend to the skies using approximately 45 weather balloons. You might be imagining a scene straight from the animated movie Up. However, this priest drew inspiration from a real-life 1982 event involving lawn chair Larry. Larry daringly took to the skies above Los Angeles, cutting his lawn chair's tether, which was lifted by dozens of weather balloons. Astonishingly, Larry survived, later inspiring the plot of Up. Father Adelia Antonio, at 51 years old, sought to emulate Larry's eccentric venture. Aiming for a new world record in clustered balloon flight altitude, his intentions were nobler than mere thrill-seeking. This audacious stunt aimed to garner attention for his initiative to establish rest stops for truck drivers on isolated highways. Undeniably, being suspended in a chair for 19 hours, even one buoyed by helium balloons, is a formidable challenge. Despite this, Father Antonio equipped himself diligently, wearing an official survival suit, and carrying a satellite phone and GPS locator. Regrettably, this preparation was his tragic undoing. Father Antonio lacked expertise with the GPS device, and as his balloons veered off course, he was cast adrift over the vast ocean. A timely parachute descent could have saved him, yet he refrained from popping the balloons for an emergency landing. As desperation grew and he found himself lost, the priest attempted to phone for assistance. Hindered by his unfamiliarity with the GPS, rescuers couldn't ascertain his precise location. As his cell phone's battery dwindled, so too did his hopes. It seems Father Antonio placed profound trust in divine intervention. In subsequent days, fragments of ruptured weather balloons began appearing on distant beaches and mountainsides. These relics indicated that his heavenly journey had tragically concluded. Eventually, his lifeless body was discovered in the sea, suggesting that in his unique way, he had indeed met the Holy Father. Here's a twist to this incredible story. Father Adelia Antonio's ill-fated flight qualifies for a double Darwin Award. Catholic priests, due to their lifelong vows of celibacy, have voluntarily withdrawn from the gene pool, thus securing a collective Darwin Award. Hence, between his balloon misadventure and his celibate commitment, Father Antonio receives not 1 but 2 Darwin Awards. That's the conclusion of today's video. Let us know in the comments, which of these deaths do you think was the most foolish? Also, are you aware of any other Darwin Award winners who should be on this list? But before you go, there's an important step you might be missing. Make sure to share this video with your friends. Additionally, please subscribe to Wow Amazing and click the bell icon. This ensures you'll be among the first to be wowed every time we release a new video.